Okay guys, welcome back to BS2PCG Deck Forger, and for tonight we have another special edition, and this time we're going to look at the random decks that are available for our next upcoming event this Sunday, and this is called the Randomizer. And so, welcome to BS2PCG Deck Forger. Okay, so what we have tried to explain during our posting in our BS2PCG Deck Forger is that we're going to have random decks filled up inside our deck boxes, and these are going to be tier 1 to tier 1.5 decks, most of them, and they're going to be played in random. Okay, so this is how Randomizer works. Okay, we have prepared 2 sets of demo boxes. Each set has 6 decks inside, and we're going to shuffle them randomly, okay, during the event, so that nobody knows what's inside the box, okay, not even me. And we're going to try to, okay, each player is going to try to pick one side or one corner of the box, okay, and whatever deck they have chosen, they are given 30 minutes in order to play or to familiarize themselves on how to play those decks. Now, for us to give some leeway to our players, okay, we decided to make this video so that we are able to somehow describe in details, although quickly enough, okay, what are the decks that are going to be played during Randomizer. Okay, and for that, we're going to try to open our very first box. Okay, so we'll try to check what are the available boxes, decks inside our first box. Okay, so just like what we're doing mostly, is we're going to try to display our demo box in its display, okay, position. See? And here now are the first 6 decks, okay, in our demo box. Okay, so we have, okay, the following. Okay, so we have Quake, and we have Iron Man. We also have X23, and at the bottom we have some villains. We have Bullfrog, we have Lady Death, and of course we have the big guy himself, Thanos. Okay, so for this particular demo box, if you get to choose one of these decks, so we're going to try to explain them one by one. Okay, so let's try first with Quake. So as you can see here, Quake is our one of our loyalty decks inside this demo box, and of course Quake will be running the shield team, and of course you have the main character herself. Okay, so at level 1 she has 2 attack and 5 defense with 6 health, and of course her powers are shakedown, and she needs at least 5 XP for epicenter to level up. So once she levels up, then she becomes a 5/7, 5 attack, 7 defense character, still with 6 health, and she gains her second superpower, which is Aftershock. Okay, so this is a very good character in herself because of her 6 health, so she can last longer in the game. So her team consists of course, the following. We have shield agents, we have slingshot, and we have Sharon Carter, and we have Fitzsimmons in order to ramp up most of our characters. We also have 4 copies of Phil Coulson. Okay, much better to give stealth to all of your shield agent. We have 2 copies of Mockingbird. We have also 2 copies of Grant Ward, 2 copies of Melissa May, 2 copies of Captain America, Okay, this is the shield version. And we have 2 copies of Hawkeye, and of course we have 2 copies of the biggest character in the game, which is Iron Man. Okay, and for this particular deck, we also gave Quake, okay, 2 copies of Plasma Beam Handgun in order to get rid of those nasty equipments. And we also have 2 copies of Quinjet, but since most of your characters are grounded and you need somehow a way for them to provide flight, and this is provided by Quinjet. Now this particular deck packs the most packs several good plot twists, because you have 4 copies of Unwavering Loyalty, and you also have 4 copies of Strategic Homeland Intervention. But what I like here is because we were able to pack 4 copies of Stand Together. So this is one of those decks that carries at least 4, okay, the most number of Stand Together in a deck. And of course you have your copies of your locations like Laboratory, Fortress, and 4 copies of Helicarrier. Okay, so my advice for those who will be playing Quake is, of course, this particular team is more of the loyalty type, and you have to make use mostly, or make most use of your, of course, of your unwavering loyalties, and of course your strategic homeland interventions, and of course those Stand Together, because she's the only deck that is able to use, okay, 4 Stand Togethers, okay, in this particular match. Okay, so those are for Quake. Okay, and the next deck that we have here is of course Iron Man. Okay, so Iron Man is one of your original Avengers. And at level 1, he is a 2 attack, 4 defense character with flight and range and 5 health. So he's somehow a little bit weak on the health side. Okay, and his superpower is Repulsor Blast. So, and he also needs at least 3 XP in order to level up. Okay, using his level up power, Armor Mark 3. Okay, once he levels up, then Iron Man becomes a 3 attack, 7 defense character with 5 health, still with flight and range, and he now gains upgraded armor, and that is during the main phase you put 3+1+1 counters on a character on your side. So later on you'll see that this is a this particular deck is very fast in leveling up, and of course with the +1+1 counters, this particular MC can go very big in the fastest possible time. So in order to support Iron Man, we have given him a team that is of course very supportive of his powers, and of course we have 4 copies of Falcon in order for you to gain those +1+1 counters during okay, your team attacks. Okay, and he gives an additional +1+1 counter to Iron Man. And of course you have 4 calls in order for you to be able to power up Iron Man to gain that XP, and at the same time put a +1+1 counter on Iron Man. And since you are also using Invasion as one of your key mechanics, we have put 4 copies of Moonstone in order for your opponent to lose those flight, okay, and for you to be able to of course attack back row characters, okay, to make the most of use of your invasion. And we have also packed 2 copies of Namor in this deck, so that of course we can use his invade ability to attack back row characters and they can strike back in return. And we also put 4 copies of Ironheart, and Ironheart provides the much needed team attack. And what is very special about her team attack is of course her teaming up, you're able to attack, okay, with team attack with each other, ignoring team and role restrictions. So you can attack with a back row character together with a front row character. Okay, not with the usual that team attacker that is required to have the same row at the same time. Okay, and besides pushing back characters, you can even pull characters in the front because you have 2 copies of Spider-Man. Okay, and he can web sling and pull a back row enemy character to its front row. So together with Iron Man can push back characters, and Spider-Man can pull out characters at the front. So very good strategic advantage for your part. Then we also have 1 copy of Eggplant Leviathan because Eggplant Leviathan also has invade, and he's a very tough guy with 2 health and with 8 attack to boot. And continuing further with your invasion strategy, you also have 4 copies of the Resistance Iceman. Okay, so he has Ice Slide and he can attack, and he gains flight and invade while attacking. Okay, so this is very good also with the strategy of your deck. And we have given 2 copies of Loki so that when you power up the first time each turn, you get to draw 3 additional cards. So that will give you a good hand advantage. And of course, your 6th and 7th drop are mostly Iron Man. So Iron Man, you have 3 copies of the Iron Man 6 drop supporting character in order to power up your Iron Man. And you also have 4 copies of the Iron Man 7 drop from Shield, but since it's the name of the card is also Iron Man, so much better because you are able to power up your main character with this supporting character. Okay, so for your 8th drop, you have 2 copies of Mr. M, hopefully to help you prevent any Dark Phoenix incursion on the board, and at the same time you're able to augmentate your characters with superpowers, like of course Iron Man, to be able to use his power twice. And since you are running an Avengers deck, of course, you have plot twists like Think Again, and Think Again will help you prevent any attack by canceling the combat. And much better because you have 4 copies of Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which provides your characters with a bonus +2 attack +2 defense during any combat. So this can hopefully help you reach out to bigger characters or help avoid the stun by beefing up your own characters. And this deck runs several copies of locations, like you have 4 copies of Academy. That's Academy, and mostly for Iron Man's upgraded armor. And you have 4 copies of Laboratory for use for Iron Man's Repulsor Blast. And you have 4 copies of Training Ground for use with, of course, Iceman's Ice Slide. So for you to give him those flight and invasion to that supporting character. And of course, we have 4 copies of Avengers Mansion for use with Iron Man's superpower. So this particular deck is very fast in leveling up, because if you are able to, let's say, put 1 cost or a 1 drop Falcon in play, then you get to attack with Falcon, together with Falcon, and you get to give Iron Man a +1/+1 counter. And of course, since you have at least 11 cards that are able to power up Iron Man, you just need at least 2 cards to power up Iron Man, or 3 cards to power up Iron Man, let's say, or 2 cards to power up Iron Man and 1 card to power up Falcon. Then you're able to level up Iron Man instantly, even during the first turn. Plus, if you're able to play, let's say, a yellow Academy, or let's say an Avengers Mansion during your first turn, then you can now play or flip it down, so in order to activate Iron Man's upgraded armor. So that will put Iron Man in a position wherein he gains 1+1+1 counter from Falcon, so he becomes a 4 attack, 8 defense character. Plus you're able to power him up with 3 cards, so that means you are able to increase him to, let's say, that's around 7, 10. Okay, 7 attack, 10 defense. Okay, plus if you're able to pay the yellow, then he becomes now at least a 13 and a 17 or something, okay, character, okay, in the game. So very powerful and very fast, okay, in leveling up. Okay, so that is for Iron Man. Okay, so one of the other decks available during the randomizer event is, of course, my favorite gal, okay, Mutant Girl X23. Okay, so as you can see, X23 has only 1 level, and she's level 1, and she is a 3 attack, 3 defense character with 3 health, and she has Hunter, and she has Hunted. So when she is attacking, she has +3 attack, and when she is being attacked or while defending, then she has 3 defense. So she's either a 6 attack, 3 defense character when attacking, or a 3 attack, 6 defense, okay, character while defending. And of course, what we like about X23 is her accelerated healing factor. So during the main phase, okay, she can heal all wounds by paying just 1 green power symbol. And this deck revolves around her superpower, of course. Okay, so we pack several supporting characters to aid her in this event. So we have 4 copies of Victoria Hand, because 1 Victoria Hand in play, of course, will give, okay, your character that 1 green superpower, okay, in order to pay for her accelerated healing factor. And we have 4 copies of Iceman, since we are running an X-Men character deck. And Iceman, of course, provides freeze in order to stall those early aggressors to your deck. And to copy Iceman and the other X-Men supporting characters in your deck, we have 4 copies of course, we have Hope Summers. Okay, since her mutant power duplication enables her to copy any other power, okay, of X-Men supporting characters on your side. Okay, and we also pack 3 copies of Wolfsbane, because Wolfsbane, okay, has ferocious, and she's a good early attacker for your side. Okay, so very ferocious enough. Okay, and we also have 2 copies of Namor, okay, to provide flight as a blocking ball, or maybe, let's say, to attack back row characters because of his invade. And she's a good 2-drop for your X-Men, okay, team. And going to the 3-drop, we have 4 copies of Psylocke. Okay, since Psylocke provides that huge 4/5, okay, 4/5, okay, stats, and at the same time she has Psychic Knife in order to discard a card from your hand, from your opponent's hand, if you get to stun, okay, an enemy defender. And to give you some additional boost on your hand, we also have 3 copies of the Beast, and he's ferocious and at the same time genius. So if you are able to survive him for a particular round and he's face up during the start of your turn, you get to draw an additional card. Okay, and once you're up against bigger characters, then you have 2 copies of Cable to provide that much needed stun because of his ultimate soldier. And of course, to flip back those green locations or your wild locations, we have 2 copies of Iron Man. And if there are many characters in your KO pile, and since most of them are good, okay, then okay, Ghost Rider can provide a finishing blow to your opponent's main character because of his penance there. Okay, so very good character for this deck. And if you have enough green, or you have extra green, then you can call in the big dude himself, Thanos, to provide the finishing blow with his welcome death. Okay, so since we have already talked about the main supporting characters, we also get to discuss what are the plot twists available for X23's deck. So we have 4 copies of Sacred Ground, and Sacred Ground provides you with a +6 attack, +6 defense if you are able to flip down that School for Gifted Youngster, for any of your mutant characters. And while team attacking, you also have 4 copies of Squad Tactics, and Squad Tactics of course provides you with those +1/+1 counters on each character on your side in the combat. And we also have 4 copies of X Factor, so that you are able to ready one of your characters, most especially your bigger ones, in order to be able to attack again. Since you are running an X-Men main character, you can easily play this plot twist. And for defense, we also have 4 copies of Uncanny Defense. So in order for us to be able to switch defender's position, in order for you to save a very critical character in your team, or maybe in order to help X23 from being stunned until you're able to draw a green to heal her up. And we have, of course, for our locations, we have 4 copies of the Training Ground, mostly used for Cable's superpower and also to feed up on those sacred grounds. And we have 4 copies of Fortresses, most specially used for X23's accelerated healing factor. And in order to add to that, we also have 4 copies of School for Gifted Youngsters, for X23's accelerated healing factor, or even for Sacred Ground. So X23 is most especially a highly aggressive deck, and she likes to run the short game because going into the late game, you don't have much of a very big character, unlike most of the other decks in this demo box. So much better that you're able to finish your particular assault on your opponent as early as the 6th, 5th, 6th, or 7th turn. So that is our deck for X23. So now we have 3 decks that were already discussed. Now let's go now to the other decks in this demo box. So now we go to our first baddie in this demo box, and we have Ultron. So Ultron is of course a villain, one of the super villains, and he is at level 1. He is a 3 attack 1 defense character with 7 health with flight and range. He has Swarm, so you're able to put as many Ultron as possible on your deck. And he also has Iterate, so you're able to put a supporting character named Ultron from your hand or KO pile into your side. And he needs at least 6 XP in order to level up with his level up power, all of you against all of me. So once he becomes level 2, now he becomes a 6 attack 2 defense character with 7 health with flight and range, still with Swarm and Iterate, and now he gains Reiterate. So put up to 2 Ultron supporting characters name, put 2 total supporting characters named Ultron from your hand and or KO pile onto your side. So this particular deck is built more of the hand lock deck or the hand lock combo. So we decided to put 4 copies of Lockheed here because he's a good first drop flyer and blocker, since he has 2 health with flight and 2 attack 2 defense. You also have 4 copies of Captain Swain because you need to have Captain Swain when singularity comes around in order to provide 1 power symbol for one of your other supporting characters in the combo. And we also have 1 copy of the Leviathan Twin Drake. which is good for your other Leviathans in the team because besides being a tough 1-drop with 2 health and 2 attack, 2 defense and flight, he can provide an additional Comet Fall for your other Leviathans in the deck. And of course, okay, characters, some of them will also do Slumbering, but since he is a one-of-a-kind creature, okay, you only have 1 of this in your deck. Okay, and we also have 4 copies of Ronan, a staple if you're running a villain's character, and he can help, okay, discard crucial cards from your opponent's hand because of his accused superpower. And we decided to ramp up Ultron a bit, so we have 4 copies of Mantis, and Mantis is here because of her rebirth, and which gives you an additional resource once she gets KO'd. And we also have 1 copy of the Leviathan Demolisher, which has Comet Fall and can help, okay, turn enemy locations face down because of its tectonic impact. And the main supporting character here is of course 4 copies of Singularity. So for you to be able to pocket dimension those other supporting characters in the deck. So which we will try to explain further later. And okay, pocket dimension can be done as a reaction during the end of your turn. And it will remove any number of other face-off characters on your side from the game. But then once they appear back, all of their appear powers will now trigger. Okay, so we have 4 copies of Singularity for that. And we have 3 copies of Jessica Jones to provide a good, solid wall of blocker because of her flight and toughness and 3 health. And of course her psionic protection is always welcome for you to help avoid those enemy characters that are using yellow based superpowers. And of course, what's an Ultron deck without the Ultron? So we have 4 copies of Ultron, and we're still waiting for the other 2 sets of Ultron with Masters of Evil expansion set. But for this particular deck so far, we're still going to use for the 4 original Ultrons, okay, as supporting characters. So he's a 3-1, 3 attack, 1 defense with 1 health, and you also have Swarm and Replicate, so you can search your deck for a copy of other characters named Ultron. Okay, so the more to support your Ultron main character. And we also have another good solid wall, okay, of a defender with Miss America, and this time she's a 6-4. Okay, let me try to focus on that. She's a 6-4 with tough, flight, and 3 health. So just like with Jessica Jones, she is a very good, okay, blocker, okay, for you to protect your Singularity. And to continue with your combo, we have of course 3 copies of Iron Man. With his inventive, of course, Iron Man gets to flip back, okay, a location online. So this will be very helpful in order for you to prepare for your hand lock combo. And we have also 1 copy of Leviathan Beast. Okay, and of course he has Comet Fall and Concussive Impact, wherein you're able to daze an enemy character. So very welcome, okay, in this deck. And of course, you have 3 copies of your Red Skull. And Red Skull provides the hand lock because Red Skull and his diabolical plan, okay, lets your enemy players penalized by they can't draw cards until your next turn. Okay, and to round it up, we have 2 copies of Iceman because once you recruit Iceman, okay, the Omega Iceman, and of course during the start of your turn, okay, you are able to freeze your enemy opponent's location, and this will also paralyze him similarly to the hand lock combo. So imagine you are running, okay, Ultron with Singularity, and at the same time you are running, okay, Captain Swain with, of course, the Red Skull, and at the same time, okay, you get to, okay, put them back in play every other turn, and that locks your opponents, okay, from drawing cards. And when you're able to drop Iceman, you are able to, lock their locations also. Okay, and for our plot twist, we have 4 copies of Shock to the System. And Shock to the System, of course, okay, helps provide you some defense against very aggressive attackers. Okay, and for our locations, we have 4 Academy in order for use with Ultron's first superpower, which is Iterate. And we also have 4 copies of Laboratory, and this is for Ultron's Reiterate, at the same time also for use with Singularity's Pocket Dimension. And to focus on Singularity, we have 4 copies of Arcadia in order to help power her up at the end of your turn. And of course, we have finally 4 copies of the Volt, which is used for Ultron's superpower. It can also be used for Ronan's. Okay, so now that is the totality of our Ultron deck. And what I like with the Ultron deck, of course, is the hand lock combo. And now coupled with Iceman's Ice Age lock, you are able to paralyze your opponent during the late game. Okay, so that is for Ultron. And going further, we have our fifth deck. In this particular demo box, and of course we have Lady Death. Lady Death, of course, is a mortal, and at the same time she has Death herself, so Death gets +1/+1 count bonus or stats for each character in each KO pile. So you have to understand that she also has the infinity symbol here, but in totality she has 8 health and she does not get stunned that easily. So once you are able to play her and she gets stunned, you just flip her back here on the other side, and now you gain her other power, which is Cosmic Balance. But what makes that in this deck deadly, of course, is once characters get to pile in the KO pile, then she gets those +1/+1 bonuses to her total stats. Okay, so in order to support that, we have provided 4 copies of Yondu. To get rid of those 3 or less enemy supporting character. And of course, if you get to KO them early, then you get to add bonuses to them. But what makes this deck engine work are 4 copies of Cypher, because Cypher, with his Translate, you are able to discard any number of cards, then draw that many. So if you have, let's say, 8 cards in your hand, and 6 of them are characters, if you get to discard them, then draw that many also, so you get to draw 8 more cards, then those 6 characters in your deck will automatically add +1/+1 bonuses to Death, so that makes her a 7/7 as early as the first turn. And going further, we also need to ramp up Death a bit, so we have put 4 copies of Mantis in order to ramp her up, because Mantis, once she gets KO'd, of course, you get to have an additional resource as a bonus. Then we also put 2 copies of Moonstone, because Moonstone can provide or make enemies lose their flight, and since most of your characters here are grounded, so most of them are very very adversing once that you are able to make your opponents lose their flights. And of course, with a very big Death in front of them, it's so easy to avoid being attacked at the back row. And you also have 2 copies of Dark Star to provide a flight wall if you need it, and she grows big as long as you put face down resources on your side. We also have a copy of the Nullifier, so that Nullifier can help prevent any possible for example Dark Phoenix incursions in the game. So that is a very helpful one. And as one of your main flight wall, of course, you have Pixie, because Pixie has flight at 4 attack, 4 defense, and she has teleportation spell, so you can remove each character on your side from the combat. So it's either when you're attacking and you have a foiled plan, you can remove your attackers from the combat using Pixie, or you can remove Death from the combat to avoid her from being stunned. Remember, okay, Death does not easily get stunned. So once you get stunned, you just flip her back. But then the drawback here is she can be attacked again. Okay. And of course, we have 2 copies of Copycat because we need Copycat to copy other characters that are being played later, and so you can duplicate any other effects from other characters. Okay. And also to provide a wall for your Death once you are in the bad side is of course 2 copies of Danger, because of course once Danger is in the front row, other characters in your back row cannot be attacked. Okay. And we have also 3 copies of Massacre, so that Massacre can provide that needed lethal, and he can also team attack with your Death, okay, in order to bring down a very big character. And going further with the synergy of the deck, you also have 2 copies of Supergiant. Your Supergiant also has Mind Games, so when Supergiant appears, you may have a player discard your hand and draw that many cards. So again, additional characters in your opponent's KO pile will also add bonuses to them. And we have also 2 copies of Storm in order for us to daze any enemy characters with Flight. So if you're up against, let's say, big opposing characters like Ping Pang Poom or Gilgamesh with Flight, okay, once you drop in Storm, you can play the blue power symbol and you can get to daze those blockers so that you can get to your opponent's main character. Okay, if you have enough blue, then at least you can use Satana, which is also a good flight wall. And at the same time, her Consumed Soul can help remove a character in an enemy player's KO pile. So very good to remove those pesky characters, then have them removed from the rest of the hand and deck of your opponents. Okay, and Emma Frost can also provide additional Mind Games. So when she appears, you may have player discard your hand and draw that many cards also. Okay, so that is Emma Frost. And Iron Man can help flip back those locations that were turned face down, okay, for use, let's say with Cypher's power, or even with the other blue location powers like Storms, or even with Satanas. Okay, and to help you bring back characters that were KO'd, you have also 2 copies of Shikla. Okay, and her Eternal Bliss can help you return a character from your KO pile when you need them during your build phase. And to help also KO other characters in the late game, we also have 2 copies of Shadow King. And since Shadow King can be anchored on your very huge death, it will be very difficult to get rid of him once you are able to anchor host him to death. And our Omega for this deck is of course 2 copies of Proteus. And of course, once you get to possess Death with Proteus, then you get to get that +10/+10 bonus, +10 attack, +10 bonus and range. And with the blue power symbol, you can help heal wounds from Death herself. Okay, and we don't have much of a plot twist for this deck, but we have locations. So we have 4 copies of Training Ground. Okay, and we have 4 copies of Academy, and we have 4 copies of Laboratory, and we have 4 copies of School for Gifted Youngsters. Since Death is a neutral character and she doesn't have much or any wild location, so Death hinges more on the Cypher, Super Giant, and of course the Emma Frost combo. This is to discard your opponent's hand or your hand in order to draw that many cards, and in return be able to put that many characters in your or your opponent's KO pile. Okay, so that is for Death. And finally, of course, we have the 6th deck in this particular demo box, and we have the one and only Thanos. Okay, so Thanos here is one of my favorite because we haven't played Thanos in such a long time. And Thanos here, of course, is the new Thanos. Okay, so let's just try to look at this one. So he's at level 1, he's a 3 attack 4 defense character with 6 health, and his superpower is Court Death. So at the same time, he needs 6 XP in order for you to level him up. Okay, using the Mad Titan. Okay, level up power. So when an enemy character gets KO, Thanos gains an XP. So this is very different from the old Thanos, because with the old Thanos, any character being KO'd, be it on your side or on your opponent's side, you'll get an XP. But with this new Thanos, they have slightly weakened him a bit. So when an enemy character gets KO'd only, then Thanos does gains an XP. But once he levels up, of course, he becomes a 6 attack, 6 defense character, still with 6 health. And this time, he has the Infinity Gauntlet. So, okay, you need at least 1 blue, 1 yellow, 1 green, and 1 red power symbol. So for each enemy player, stun their main character, KO one of their resources, KO one of their supporting characters, and they discard a random card. So the main difference here, of course, with the old Thanos is your opponent gets to discard all their cards in hand. So a little bit weak now, but let's try to check if this deck will work. Okay. So for this particular deck, we have packed in several supporting characters, and of course we will try to utilize them a bit. For that, we have Rhino. I use Rhino here because of his big stats, 5-4. And we have seen this in one particular match with Sinister 6, wherein Rhino is really a huge pain in the ass, okay? Because of his 5 attack 4 defense, and he's very big enough to be able to instigate that first attack every turn. So be able to stun those level 1 characters. Okay, and for this also, since we need to KO most of your opponent's supporting characters early on in the game, we also have 4 copies of Team Booba. So Team Booba, okay, with his Terror of the Microverse, Team Booba, when he appears, you get to KO all enemy supporting characters with 1 cost or less, and enemy players can't recruit characters with cost 1 or less. So very good enough, okay, to help support Thanos, okay, Mad Titan level up power. And then you have also 4 copies of Electro, because with his Chain Lightning, you just have to pay 1 blue power symbol and you stun each enemy character that costs 2 or less. Okay, so very powerful for this deck. And also we have 4 copies of this particular dude, and this is Ronan. Very staple in any super villains deck. So Ronan, okay, you get to discard any card that you are able to name correctly from your opponent's hand, and discard each card with that name. So very good to reduce your opponent's hand size, okay, with the right guess. Okay, and we also have 4 copies of Dr. Octopus, because he has Grab and Genius, so to help you draw those additional cards. And he's 3 attack 5 defense characters, so very big on the front wall. And we have also put 2 copies of Baron von Strucker, okay, for this particular deck, because now we have some way to team them up. Okay, so, and of course we have 4 copies of this, okay, dude, okay, Gambit, because his molecular acceleration will enable you, okay, to stun any number of characters as long as you are able, okay, to discard, okay, a supporting character, okay, with cost less than or equal to the total cost of those characters. Okay, so let's say if you're able to drop this particular dude, discard them with Gambit's power, then you get to, okay, have 15 costs to be distributed among any number of characters in the deck, in your opponent's board, okay, in particular, and you are able to stun, okay, most of them. And you also have 2 copies of Satana at 5 drop, Okay, very useful here with her consuming soul, since you get to able to stun most characters, and you also have 2 copies of Magneto, okay, because of his magnetic suppression, so enemy supporting characters can't recover and they remain stunned. And you also have 2 copies of Ares, and very important here because of his 3 health, his dodge, gun, combat master, and lethal. And your Omega for this deck, of course, are 2 copies of Monarch, so that you're able to flip up all those resources and be able to use them, okay, in order to power up Thanos Infinity Gauntlet. And to round them up, of course, are 2 copies of your Living Tribunal. Mostly you won't really get to see him being played in this deck, okay, but he's very important here in order to help power up, okay, Gambit's, okay, molecular acceleration. So you are able to stun any number of characters with a total cost of 15 or less. Okay, so that we need to be clear. But if you're up against characters, let's say with 2 or more health and are very difficult to KO, then we have packed 4 copies of Extinguish here so that you are able to KO a stun supporting character, so notwithstanding their number of health. Okay, and for locations, of course, Thanos packs, okay, a complete line of basic locations. So you have 4 copies of your Sulaco, okay, and for the red power symbol, and you have 4 copies of the Auriga for your yellow power symbol, and you also have 4 copies of Fury 101, okay, for your green power symbols, and we have 4 copies of the Nostromo for your blue power symbol, and of course we have 4 copies of the Volt, okay, for your, the Volt is also for your, okay, Thanos superpower. So the technique here, of course, when using Thanos is to be able to, okay, kill as many or KO as many supporting character at the same okay, at the early parts of the game, so you're able to, okay, you're able to level up Thanos and be able to use Infinity Gauntlet. Okay, collect all those red, blue, green, blue power symbols in order to prepare for that Infinity Gauntlet, or be able to use Monarch during the late game in order to use again the Infinity Gauntlet. Remember, Infinity Gauntlet is very powerful, huh? Okay, so you get to, okay, KO one of the resources, you get to KO one of the supporting characters, you get to stun one of their main characters, and at the same time they discard a random card. So Thanos, okay, works in that particular mechanic. Okay, so these are all the 6 available decks in the first demo box. So we still have, okay, 6 more, and that will be discussed in the next, okay, part of this video. But for the meantime, okay, this is Mark Iyom, and this is BS2PCG Deck Forger, while we are preparing for the up and coming Randomizer event this coming Sunday. So thank you very much for watching, and we like to thank our sponsors, Treats for Them. So you can visit Treats for Them at www.treatsfordem.com, okay, or download the app at Google Play Store. And we'd also like to thank our sponsors for Chubby Place, which is located at, okay, Unit 3, Unit B, 3rd floor, okay, Naga Road, Pulanlupa to Las Piñas City, Philippines. And again, guys, we'd also like to thank our friends from BS2PCG Collective, Mr. Benjamin Brosin, and of course Mr. Joe Vitelli of the Bill Face. So I hope you stick around for part 2 of this video as we showcase, okay, the next set of random decks in Demo Box 2 of our upcoming randomizer. So see you guys and have a nice night.